everybody, today back in our video. Alright, my tennis fans around the world, it is Grand Slam time. It is the first Grand Slam tournament of the 2025 season. The Australian Open is just around the corner, baby. We are waiting for a Grand Slam tournament to start for 4 or 5 months now, since the US Open finished last year in September. Now we are here, baby. We don't need to wait anymore. The Australian Open is just around the corner. The first Grand Slam tournament of the year is just around the corner, so-called the Happy Slam. They call the Australian Open the Happy Slam, and we are here now. The draw has came out. The draw actually came out 10, 12 hours ago. I couldn't do a preview just 10, 12 hours ago because I was at work. I have actually just came home from work, and I've dived into the draw, and I've looked the draw, and I've analyzed the draw for 1 hour, for 1 freaking hour, my tennis fans on the world. And here you have me, my tennis fans on the world. I am finished looking it. I am finished analyzing it. I am finished drawing it. I am finishing. I have just finished looking at the draw, and I have made up my mind who my top 8 favorite players will be in the first Grand Slam tournament of the year. I have made up my mind. I have made my decisions. I have locked in the players. You have followed my channel for so many years. You know, baby, what is coming now. It will come, my top 8 favorite players, the players that I will have, who I believe that the top 8 favorite players that I believe one of these 8 players will win the tournament. Of course, as lower you are in the ranking, as less I believe in you, but I still believe in you. And as higher you are in the ranking, as more I believe in you. But I will be shocked and surprised if somebody outside my top 8 favorite players wins the Australian Open. I expecting it that one of my top 8 favorite players will win the Australian Open. If someone else outside top 8 does it, I will be really, really shocked. Alright guys, let's get into this without any further ado. On my 8th place, I have a former Australian Open semi-finalist from 2023. It is Tommy Paul. Yeah, Tommy Paul, he reached the semi-final in 2023 and lost against Novak Djokovic there in straight sets. No shame losing to that kind of a player who has won this tournament record times, which is 10 times. Back then he won it back in 2023, he won it for the actually 10th time. Later on he went on to defeat Stefan Tsitsipas in the final. So Tommy Paul is a former Australian Open semi-finalist. He is on my top 8 favorite list. He's on my 8th spot. He's dangerous, Tommy Paul. He's pretty good on hard court. Maybe hard court is his best surface. Can be discussed there. Is it hard court or is it clay? I should say hard court because after all, hard court is. He has never made it to a French Open semi-final. Yes, he's a former junior French Open champion. He won French Open as a junior, Tommy Paul, but that was as a junior. As a senior, he has never made it to a French Open semi-final. So I should say that hard court is probably his best surface. So I believe Tommy Paul can make a run here. I like his draw. He doesn't have a scary draw, but you never know. We will see upsets. We will see. I don't trust in many players in the draw that I feel extremely comfortable in. I have just some few players, maybe 1 or 2 to be quite honest, that I really will be shocked if they lose before the quarterfinals. Not 1 or 2, 3 or 4, something like that. And those are more higher in my top 8 favorite list. Anyway, Tommy Paul is on my 8th spot. He will face O'Connell in the first round. He can face Nishioka as a potential second round opponent. Nishioka is a baseline grinder, so that can be tricky. But I have Tommy Paul as my favorite to go through Nishioka if Nishioka wins his first round match. And then Tommy Paul's first seeded player can be Tabilo as a potential third round opponent. And in the fourth round, Tommy Paul can face Felix Yarasime or the highest ranked player in this quarter, which is Casper Ruud. Some of you maybe have Casper Ruud as going through to as being the winner in this quarter. But for me, I believe that the player who will come through in this quarter will be Tommy Paul. Casper Ruud has never made it to a quarterfinal at Australian Open. He has never made a deep run at Australian Open. He has had really difficulties in doing deep runs at Australian Open, and I don't think he will do a deep run here this year as well. Maybe he will prove me wrong, who knows? You never know with Casper. He has a huge forehand, he has a big serve. Casper Ruud has improved his backhand, Casper, and he's a great athlete. He's really quick, so he doesn't get a lot of credit for his movement, Casper. But I don't know, I don't trust in Casper. And Felix, he's an inconsistency machine. Felix, he really would have wished that he was a consistency machine, but that is the completely opposite with Felix Aliassime. He's an inconsistency machine. You never know what you will get from Felix Aliassime. All right. Sometimes he can play fabulous tennis. Sometimes he can play a disaster of tennis. Anyway, I have Tommy Paul as my number 8 player here to come through his quarter. All right, I'm on 7th spot. I have a former 4th-time Australian Open semifinalist and a former 1-time Australian Open finalist. You maybe can guess it by now who that is. If you have not guessed it by now, I will reveal his name, which is Stefanos Tsitsipas. I have the player from Greece, Stefanos Tsitsipas, as on my 7th spot. He has not had the greatest 12 to 15 months in his career, to say the least. He has not had a fantastic 2024 season. He has really had an up and down season last year, but I don't know. I have a feeling that here at Australia he plays much better tennis than he does, for instance, in Wimbledon and US Open. In Wimbledon and US Open, he has never made it to quarterfinals there, neither at Wimbledon, neither at the US Open. So he has done a much better job here in Australia. He's, like I said, he is a 4th-time Australian Open semi-finalist and a 1-time Australian Open finalist, which he was in the final at Australian Open back in 2023, where he lost against Novak Djokovic. No shame in losing against that kind of a beast like Novak Djokovic, especially here in Australia, where Novak won Australian Open back then in 2023, where he defeated Stefanos Tsitsipas in that final for the 10th time. So, and he has defeated some really great players in the past here at Australia. Stefanos Tsitsipas plays like Nadal and plays like Roger Federer. All right. So, and I'm liking his draw. He doesn't have tremendously difficult draw, according to me. He has Mikkelsen in the first round. He can face Makabe in the second round, a Makabe player that I've never heard about. That is the thing with when we get these Grand Slam tournaments, because it is a huge draw with 128 players. We will have a lot of players which are qualifiers, wild cards, players that come from the Challenger Tour, you name it, baby. We will have a lot of players that we have never heard about. And this player, Makabe, that Tsitsipas can face as a potential second round if Makabe wins his first round, is a player that I've never heard about. And Tsitsipas' first seeded player he can face in the third round is Karen Khachanov. I fancy Tsitsipas' chances against Karen Khachanov. Yeah, Karen Khachanov can defeat Tsitsipas if Khachanov can win his 2 first round matches. But I will give my advantage to Tsitsipas there in a potential third round match against Karen Khachanov. And then in the fourth round, Tsitsipas can face Bublik or de Minaur. De Minaur is the highest seed. It is the highest seeded player that Tsitsipas can face in this quarter. De Minaur is the 8th seed, if I'm not mistaken. I don't trust in the reason I have Tsitsipas over de Minaur going to that quarterfinal is that if we get that potential fourth round match between Tsitsipas and de Minaur, you know that head-to-head between Tsitsipas and de Minaur doesn't look pretty for de Minaur. It looks very, very beautiful for Tsitsipas' sake, but not for de Minaur. It is 11-1. The head-to-head is 11-1 in favor for Tsitsipas. 11-1. When the head-to-head is that lopsided, that will get my attention. I will look at that head-to-head very serious. If the head-to-head is 6-3, 6-4, 5-4, 7-4, 7-3, you name it, baby. But if it is 11-1, that will get my attention, to say the least. The same thing if de Minaur makes it to a quarterfinal. Say if de Minaur makes it to quarterfinal, which is absolutely possible. He will not stand a chance in winning that quarterfinal match. He will not stand a chance because if he makes it to that quarterfinal, de Minaur, he will face Jannik Sinner there, and Jannik Sinner has a 9-love head-to-head against de Minaur. De Minaur has never defeated Jannik Sinner in 9 meetings. Nevertheless, I don't believe de Minaur will make it to a quarterfinal. He can prove me wrong, of course. De Minaur is a multiple quarterfinal. Yes, he has made it to quarterfinals multiple times in Grand Slam stages, de Minaur, but he has never made it to a semifinal in the Grand Slam stages. But he has been in multiple Grand Slam quarterfinals, so he can make it here. Absolutely, he can make it to another quarterfinal here at Australian Open, because he has been, like I said, in several quarterfinal appearances in Grand Slams before. But I have a feeling that Tsitsipas will be the player who will make it to this quarterfinal. So Tsitsipas is on my 7th spot. All right, on my 6th spot is a former third-time Australian Open finalist. Yeah, he has been in Australian Open finals 3 times, and he has lost all of those 3 occasions. And 2 of those occasions he has actually been 2 sets to love up. You know by now who that player is. And those 2 times that he was 2 sets to love up in those Grand Slam, in those Australian Open finals was against Rafael Nadal back in 2022, where he was 2 sets to love up against Rafael Nadal, and actually had 3 breakpoint opportunities in the middle of the 3rd set. If he against Rafael Nadal in that 2022 Australian Open final, if he would have capitalized in one of those breakpoint opportunities that he had against Rafael Nadal in that middle of the 3rd set, he most likely would have been an Australian Open champion by now. But it was not his destiny to be that, I guess. The other time that he has been a 2 love up in Australian Open final and did not win and lost in 5 sets, exactly like he did against Nadal in 2022, was actually last year against Jannik Sinner. He was 2 sets to love up against Jannik Sinner in that Australian Open final 2024, but lost in the end in 5 sets. But according to me, he was closer in defeating Nadal, especially he was closer in getting that break in the 3rd set. And if Medvedev, it is Medvedev I'm talking about, you have guessed it by now. If Medvedev would have got that break in the 3rd set against Nadal, he maybe would have won that match, that Australian Open final 2022 against Nadal in straight sets. Anyway, I have Daniil Medvedev on my 6th spot here, the 3 times Australian Open finalist. The third time that he has been in a Australian Open final was back in 2021. Which against Novak Djokovic, and that match he never had a chance in winning. He lost that Australian Open final 2021 against Djokovic in straight sets. Anyway, Medvedev is my sixth spot here. Medvedev he seems to liking playing on hard court is his best surface, alright? And beside US Open, which has won, that is the only Grand Slam title that Medvedev has won out of 6 Grand Slam finals that he has played. Australian Open is his best Grand Slam tournament after US Open. It is not French Open, absolutely not, which is because clay is his worst surface, and it is not Wimbledon either, even though he has played 2 Wimbledon semifinals. And he has lost both of those 2 Wimbledon semifinals against Carlos Alcaraz, Daniel Medvedev. So Australian Open after US Open is his best Grand Slam tournament. So he definitely can make it to a quarterfinal here, even though my personal opinion is that Medvedev is on a decline. He's not serving as good as before. He's doing much more unforced errors than he used to do. He has lost that hard court magic that he used to have 3 to 5 years ago, to say the least. He doesn't have that anymore. People are not afraid anymore, are not afraid of him on hard court like they used to be, say, 3 to 4 years ago. But I'm liking his draw. He doesn't have that scary of a draw. He will face Samarai, a player from Thailand that I've never heard about in the first round. He will potentially can face Ugo, a player that I've also never heard about in this potential second round if Ugo wins his first round match. And then his first big test will come in the third round if Popyrin wins his first 2 matches. That is Medvedev's first seeded player he can face, which will be Popyrin in the third round. And Popyrin, we all know that Popyrin took out Djokovic in last year's US Open in the third round, which we all know that Popyrin has a big game with a big serve and big forehand. So Popyrin can definitely damage Medvedev and definitely can upset Medvedev. I will not be shocked at all if Popyrin takes out Medvedev in the third round. Not at all whatsoever. And then in the fourth round, Medvedev can face Tiafoe or Rublev. Rublev, like we know, has played 10 quarterfinal Grand Slam matches and he has lost all 10 of them. Nobody has lost more quarterfinal matches and in the Grand Slam stages more than Rublev. So, and Rublev didn't start his season that great. He lost early in, I believe in a 250 class tournament in Hong Kong, if I'm not mistaken, in China. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think I read somewhere that Rublev lost early in a tournament before Australian Open. So, but this is a Grand Slam, so it is so much stake on the line, more points, more money, you name it. Anyway, there we have Medvedev's path to a quarterfinal, and I believe Medvedev will make it to a quarterfinal. Am I super confident in him? Absolutely not. I'm not super confident in neither of these players. Tommy Paul in the 8th spot, Tsitsipas on the 7th spot, Medvedev on the 6th spot. I'm not super confident in them. Of course not. Upsets in tennis happens, and it will happen. All right, now we come to my highest quarterfinal candidate. You know, guys. The player that I have on 5th spot is the player that I believe the most of the quarterfinal players that they can win the quarterfinal match. So out of these 4 players that I have in the quarterfinals, which are of course the 8th spot, the 7th spot, the 6th spot, and the 5th spot, the player that I have on my 5th spot is the player I believe the most that can win his quarterfinal match. The other 3, 7th spot, 6th spot, 7th spot, and 8th spot, I don't believe so much in them winning the quarterfinal match. But the player that I have on 5th spot, I believe him the most out of my quarterfinal candidates. And the player that I have on my 5th spot is the greatest tennis player of all time, Novak Djokovic, with 24 Grand Slam titles. And the player who has won this particular event, Australian Open, record time 10 times. Nobody has won it more than him. Of course, that is a record. He's trying to extend that record to 11 times. Djokovic I have on my 5th spot. You guys know that I've done some videos before this Australian Open started, that I always said that Djokovic will be one of my top 8 favorite players. As long as he plays tennis, if he just doesn't become a disaster and just completely gets out of the top 50 ranking or something like that, he will be on my top 8 favorite list. And this time I've put him on my 5th spot. In the first round, he can face a qualifier that I've never heard about. In the second round, he can face a player that is called Faria. If Faria wins his first one match, also a player that I've never heard about, Faria. And in the third round, Novak's first player that he can face is, of course, in the third round, and that is Mačak. Mačak, who, by the way, has defeated Djokovic in the past, which has been on clay, and it has not been on the best of 5 sets, but he at least has defeated Djokovic in the past, which he did last year on clay. So, and then in the 4th round, Djokovic can face Dimitrov or Lehečka. My feeling is that Djokovic will face Lehečka. Lehečka, by the way, who just won a title in Brisbane. Lehečka is an extremely dangerous player. Is a great ball striker, and Lehečka can definitely take out Novak Djokovic in a potential 4th round. I would not be shocked if Lehečka takes out Djokovic. This current Djokovic. Djokovic 3-5 years ago, absolutely not. Lehečka would not stand a chance. He would have lost in straight sets. But the Djokovic of now, who is 37 years old, who will be 38 years old in a couple of months, who has won only 1 title the last 15 months, which was the Olympic gold medal last year, and who has lost that invincible aura around him. I don't care what the Djokovic fanboys out there says. Djokovic can definitely lose against a player like Lehečka. He definitely can lose. I'm not predicting that he will do, but he definitely can do it. Anyway, I have Djokovic going to that quarterfinal. He should not lose in his first 4 matches. He really should not. Even though he's not in his peak of his career, he should defeat these 4 players that will come into his way in the first 4 rounds. And then the nightmare starts for Novak Djokovic from quarterfinal and forward. Alright, so Djokovic is on my 5th spot. And the reason why some of you can say, how can you have this player that I will mention after Djokovic now higher than him? It all depends on the draw. That's what happens when you are lower ranked. If Djokovic would have been top 4, he would not have this draw. That is what I've said all the time when I did my videos before the Australian Open. I said that Djokovic not prioritizing the ranking, that will hurt him. If Djokovic would be in world number 4, like the next player is, he would not have this draw like he's having. He would have had a much easier draw if Djokovic would have been the world number 4. And due to that, because of Djokovic is not the world number 4, and instead he's the world number 7, he has a much tougher draw than the player I will talk about next. And that is the reason why I have the player I will talk about next higher than Djokovic. Not because Djokovic is a worse player than him, absolutely not. It's just because that the player I will talk about next has a much easier draw than Djokovic. And the player I have on my 4th spot, now we are in the semi-final stages here, is Taylor Fritz. Taylor Fritz, who maybe is in the peak of his career, who played the US Open final last year, lost to Jannik Sinner in straight sets, who played the ATP Tour finals last year, lost to the same player, Jannik Sinner in straight sets. He has a great draw. He has a much better draw than Djokovic. He will play Brooksby in the first round. He will play most likely, probably, if Coric wins his first round match, he will face Coric in the second round, Fritz. Then his third round opponent, that is not a great draw. I should put it out there. He can face the France monster server, Peric, or whatever you pronounce his name. I don't know how even to pronounce his name. but he has the biggest serve on tour. So Pechi Peric, if he wins his first 2-round matches, which I believe he will do only with his serve, he can take the racket out of Taylor Fritz. He really can take the racket out of Taylor Fritz. So, but I don't know. I feel that Fritz will somehow. He's a more consistent player. He's better from the baseline. He returns better than Pechi Peric. So I have a feeling that he will survive that dangerous third round match against that huge server from France. And then in the fourth round, Fritz can face either Shelton or Musetti. Fritz's biggest threat to not make it to that quarterfinal is not Shelton or Musetti. It is, according to me, his third round opponent, Pechi Peric. With that huge serve, with that huge monster serve that the France dude has, he can really knock out Taylor Fritz. So if Fritz loses, I think that it can be against that guy, not against somebody else before the quarterfinal. All right, Fritz is on my fourth spot. I believe that Fritz will make it to the he's on my fourth spot, Taylor Fritz. He will make it to a quarterfinal and then also later on to a semifinal. That's why he's on my fourth spot. And then now we are on my top 3 favorites. My top 3 favorites are always the players I believe the most. Majority of times when we have had a Grand Slam winner, they have come from my top 3 favorites. Rarely it has happened that somebody who is on the 5th spot or 6th spot or the 5th spot that has won the Grand Slam tournaments. It is majority of times, say 95% players that has won the Grand Slam tournaments has come from my top 3 favorites. And on my third spot, I have Carlos Alcaraz. Carlos Alcaraz will face Shevchenko in the first round. Shevchenko is a big hitter, so he can be dangerous, but I think Carlos Alcaraz will survive that. And then in the second round, he can face a tricky opponent in Nishioka, who is a baseline grinder. But I think that Carlos' firepower will be too much for Nishioka to handle. And then Carlos' first seeded player that he can face is Thompson. And then in the fourth round, Carlos can face Korda or Draper. All right. Most likely, I believe Carlos will face Draper. Draper, by the way, is maybe in his peak of his career, in his peak of his so far young career. He can also, of course, be even better, but he has never been this high ranked like he is at the moment. Jack Draper. Jack Draper was, by the way, defeated Carlos before, which was on grass in Queens last year, but. In a potential fourth round here, in the best of 5-set match, I don't believe that Jack Draper will defeat Carlos Alcaraz. Neither Korda, if Korda makes it to the fourth round. So Carlos is in my third spot. I believe Carlos will make it to that semifinal. And then we have my second place is, by the way, Carlos Alcaraz, who has never made it to a semifinal at Australian Open. The deepest run he has made it to in Australian Open has been a quarterfinal, which was last year where he lost against Alexander Zverev in 4 sets. And that is the player I'll have next on my list. On my second place is Alexander Sasha Zverev, who I believe will make it to an Australian Open final this year for the first time in his career. He has never been in an Australian Open final before. He has 2 Grand Slam finals before Alexander Sasha Zverev, which is at French Open and at US Open, but he has never been in the final at Australian Open. I think that he has the chance here to make it to a final. He has a great draw, really. He has Poyle in the first round, a former Australian Open semifinals from 2019. But Poyle is completely he's a much worse player now 6 years later than he was back in 2019 when he was in that semifinal and got destroyed against Novak Djokovic. In the second round, he can face Martinez. In the third round, he can face Baez. That is Zverev's first seeded player that he can face, which is Baez in the third round, or maybe Nick Kyrgios, if Nick Kyrgios make it to that third round match. And then in the fourth round, Zverev can face Fils or Humbert. I like him, Zverev's draw, really. I really like Zverev, and I think that Zverev should really be pleased with this draw. And on my number one spot, you know it by now, it is not any surprise, it is the hardcourt machine nowadays who won both of the hardcourt slams last year, which is of course Jannik Sinner, who won Australian Open last year and US Open last year. And I believe that Jannik Sinner will defend his Australian Open title from last year of several reasons. He's the best tennis player in the world. The world ranking doesn't lie. He's the best hardcourt player in the world. It is not a coincidence why he won both of the hardcourt Grand Slams last year, Australian Open and US Open. And if this was not already enough, he has the absolutely easiest draw of all the top contenders. He really has the absolutely easiest draw. The players that are top contenders for the title, the majority of them, they landed on the bottom section of the draw, which is Alcaraz, Djokovic. Alcaraz and Djokovic, they landed on the bottom section of the draw. And if Sinner has the absolutely easiest draw of them all, the hardest draw of them all has probably Alcaraz, because Djokovic as well, but Djokovic is the 7th seed. When you're the 7th seed, that is what you get. You will not get easy draws if you're 7th seed, 8th seed, 6th seed. Yeah, you can get easy draws even if you're 6th seed or 5th seed. You can get easy draws, but to be the 3rd seed like Alcaraz is, that is a brutal draw that he has got. Alcaraz, he will face Drape in the 4th round. Not easy at all. Alcaraz can face Djokovic in the quarterfinal. Not easy at all, facing a 10 times Australian Open champion. And then he can face Zverev in the semifinal, Alcaraz. So Alcaraz has the absolutely toughest draw according to me, and the absolute easiest draw, it is Jannik Sinner who is having that. He can face Jarry in the 1st round, a big hitter who has defeated actually Sinner before, but never in the best of 5 sets. So he will definitely not do it here for the first time in the best 5 sets. I mean, because he has defeated Sinner before, but that was in best of 3 sets. And then he can face Daniel, potentially the 2nd round if Daniel wins his 1st round match. And then Sinner's first seeded player that he can face is Caboli in the 3rd round, an Italian dude that Sinner will never lose against. And then in the 4th round, Sinner can face Hurkacz or Rune. Hurkacz or Rune, Sinner can face in the potential 4th round match. So Sinner is my number 1 favorite to win this Australian Open title 2025. Quarterfinal matches is between Sinner and Tsitsipas. The head-to-head is 6-3 in Tsitsipas' favor actually, but the majority of those wins that Tsitsipas got against Sinner was when Sinner was not the beast that he has nowadays. That's why Tsitsipas has a lead in the head-to-head with 6-3. I don't think Tsitsipas will defeat Sinner in that quarterfinal match. So I have Sinner defeating Tsitsipas in that quarterfinal match. The other quarterfinal is between Fritz and Medvedev. That to head is 1-1, even Steven. I think that Fritz will defeat Medvedev. Last time they faced each other was in the ATP2 finals last year. A match that actually Fritz won in straight sets. And then the third quarterfinal match is between Alcaraz and Djokovic, the blockbuster match. They will face each other for the first time this early in their careers. All the other times, which has been 7 times, the head-to-head is actually 4-3 in Novak's favor. But all the other matches that they face each other has been in semifinals or finals. This will be the earliest time they are facing each other, which will be in the quarterfinal. I believe that Alcaraz will defeat Djokovic there. I believe that Djokovic has easier time against Alcaraz in slower conditions. When it comes to faster conditions, and especially when it comes to best of 5 sets match, I think that Alcaraz is stronger than Djokovic, especially nowadays with Djokovic this late in his career with 37 years old, almost 38 years old in 3, 4, 5 months. Djokovic will be 38 years old. And they face each other 3 times in best of 5 set matches. It is 2-1 in Carlos Alcaraz's favor. The only time Djokovic has defeated Alcaraz in a best of 5 set match was back in 2023 French Open semifinal, where Djokovic was a completely different beast and what the case is now. That's why I have Alcaraz defeating Djokovic in that quarterfinal match. And then the fourth quarterfinal match is between Zverev and Tommy Paul. And I was surprised that Tommy Paul actually has a 2-love lead against Zverev in the head-to-head. Zverev has never defeated Tommy Paul in his career. But if we get this quarterfinal match between Zverev and Tommy Paul, which you never know if we'll get, I never think that I will be right in all these eight favorites, that all these 8 favorites will go to quarterfinal. But if we will get this fourth quarterfinal match between Tommy Paul and Zverev, I think that Zverev will defeat Tommy Paul for the first time in his career. And then the semifinal will be between Sinner and Fritz. That is 4-1 in Sinner's favor. I don't think Fritz will defeat Sinner in that semifinal match. And the second semifinal will be between Zverev and Alcaraz. The head-to-head is 6-5 in Zverev's favor in that head-to-head. I don't know. I think that Alcaraz has difficulties in defeating Zverev. He has difficulties to handle Zverev's big, huge serve. And I think that if we will get this semifinal match between Zverev and Alcaraz, I believe that Zverev will defeat Alcaraz. But you never know. You never know. I'm more confident that Sinner defeats Fritz in that other semifinal than I am Zverev defeating Alcaraz in that second semifinal. I'm more confident in Sinner than I'm confident in Zverev. And then the final match at the Australian Open 2025 will be between Jannik Sinner and Alexander Zverev. And Zverev actually has a 4-2 lead in the head-to-head against Jannik Sinner. But like I said before, majority of players that has a lead over Jannik Sinner, like Tsitsipas, Tsitsipas has a 6-3 lead in the head-to-head against Sinner. Zverev has a 4-2 lead against Sinner. The majority of wins that Tsitsipas and Zverev has got against Sinner has been in the past. Exactly like Medvedev as well. Medvedev completely destroyed Sinner in their first meetings. But when Sinner became that beast, Medvedev cannot defeat Sinner, and Sinner has completely destroyed Medvedev the last 12 months that they have faced each other. So I believe that Jannik Sinner will defeat Alexander Zverev in the Australian Open Final 2025. But you never know, maybe I will be wrong. Let's see. And some words about Novak Djokovic, because he's, after all, the 10 times Australian Open champion. And he's chasing his 11th Australian Open title here in 2025, and he's chasing his 25th Grand Slam title. If Novak Djokovic, if the players that are supposed to meet him and they win their matches, if Novak Djokovic somehow defeats Carlos Alcaraz in the quarterfinal, the world number 3, and then Novak Djokovic goes on and defeats Alexander Zverev, the world number 2, and then Novak Djokovic goes on and defeats Jannik Sinner, the world number 1 in the final. He goes on and defeats these 3 players back to back, as 37 years and a half years old, almost 38 years old, after winning only one title the last 15 months, which was the Olympic gold medal last year. I will rank Novak's achievement as the greatest sports achievement of all time. Not only the greatest tennis achievement of all time, I will rank that as the greatest sport achievement of all time. Because if Novak manages to do this unbelievable achievement, man, that will be the greatest sporting achievement of all time. Because that is an unbelievable challenge that Djokovic has ahead of him. To go and win, defeat the world number 3 Alcaraz in the quarterfinal, the world number 2 Zverev in the semifinal, and the world number 1 and defending champion Jannik Sinner in the final. If he meets all three of them, because you never know. In tennis, we have upsets. In tennis, we see upsets. I really don't believe Djokovic will manage to do that. I will be shocked. I really will be shocked if Djokovic goes on and defeats all these three. Alcaraz in the quarterfinal, Zverev in the semifinal, and Sinner in the final. Not the Djokovic of current time. Djokovic of 3 to 5 years ago, absolutely, he could have done that. But Djokovic of the current time, no. He's not in the peak of his career to be able to climb all these three big mountains. All right, some dark horses. I will mention three. All three of them are not seeded, because when you mention dark horses, it is supposed to be players that are not seeded and players that are not high ranked, but that can do damage. Fonseca is one of them. Next gen champion who won the next gen finals last year. He will actually face Rublev in the first round. That is a really, really tricky opponent for Rublev. I will not be shocked at all if Fonseca takes out Rublev in that first round. The other dark horse is Riley Opelka, if he's healthy, and because we all know that he will draw in the final in Brisbane against Lechka. But if he's healthy, I think that Opelka can make it to that. If Opelka is in the draw, maybe he has withdrawn. I don't know. Maybe he has withdrawn, because I didn't see his name in the draw actually. So I have a feeling Opelka has withdrawn. Anyway, it seems like Opelka has withdrawn. So I will not have Opelka as my dark horse, because he has withdrawn. I didn't see his name in the draw. But, all right, so now it is only two dark horses. It is Fonseca, one dark horse, and the second dark horse is Nishikori. Nishikori, who played the final in Hong Kong and lost in 3 sets. He still seemed to play good tennis. He seemed to do some damage still, despite that he's not super young anymore and has had millions of injuries. So 2 dark horses, Fonseca and Nishikori. Riley Opelka, it seems that he has withdrawn, because I didn't see his name in the draw. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. It has been a long, 42 minutes long video. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and see you next time. Peace!